All right, so let's define what polar means. All right, so you've probably heard of the word polar. Name me something that's polar. Water's polar. Something that has two poles. Earth, yeah. North Pole, South Pole. Okay, so polar, what polar means is having two opposite ends. So when you say water is polar, that means it has two opposite ends. Have you ever heard of bipolar? That means two people are either happy or sad. They're bipolar. The Earth is polar. It's got a North Pole and a South Pole. Okay? So basically having two opposite sides. Now molecules can have a positive end and a negative end. All right? Just like a battery. A battery is also considered polar because it's got a positive and a negative end. So molecules have a positive and negative end. Water is polar. That means it's got a positive and negative end. All right? Now, if it's not polar, we call them pure. Pure means non-polar. That means there's no positive and negative end. They're all the same throughout. All right, so polar and pure. Now, if we look at our homework, we can look at the molecules that we've drawn, and we can tell whether this has a positive or negative end. All right, we can look at each one and say whether it's going to be polar or pure. Now, the way we do that is that we have to look at the molecule that we've drawn. Okay, so if it's a polar molecule, so polar molecules will have either a lone pair, otherwise known as an unshared pair, on central atom. Okay? So you guys know what the central atom is, right? I've asked you that before. Okay, what is the central atom? The one in the middle, right. The central atom is the one in the middle. All right? Now, what does a lone pair look like, or an unshared pair look like on your drawing? Dots, right. So if you have dots on the middle atom, right, it's going to be polar. You understand that? Okay, so let's look at our homework. So, does this have a central atom? Is there an atom in the middle? No, it doesn't have a central atom, so we'll skip this. What about this one? Does this have a middle atom? Yeah. Does it have dots on the central atom? Yes. So this is polar or pure? Polar. See? This one right here, SO3. The central atom, does it have any dots on the central atom? No. So polar or pure? Pure. This is pure. PCl3. Is PCl3 polar or pure? Polar. Polar, because you see those dots on the central atom. Polar. SO2. Is this polar or pure? Polar. See those dots on sulfur? That makes it polar. All right. Now, HCN. All right, hold your thought. Okay? Because I said we'll have either this. That means there's going to be another qualification, right? So the next qualification is, so if it might have lone pairs on the central atom. Or bonding atoms are different. Okay? What's a bonding atom? The ones that are attached to the central atom. So we got the central atom, which is in the middle, and the bonding atoms are the ones that connect to it. Okay? So If the bonding atoms are different, then it's going to be polar. A bonding atom would be like these two oxygens. See these two oxygens? They're the same. This is an oxygen, oxygen, oxygen. Bonding atoms are the same. Chlorine, chlorine, chlorine. Bonding atoms are the same. Oxygen, oxygen. Bonding atoms are the same. Hydrogen and nitrogen, they're two different atoms. That's the different bonding atoms. So would you say this is polar or pure? Polar. All right? There might not be dots on the central atom, but the bonding atoms are different. Okay? Now, if they have dots on the central atom and the atoms are different, the bonding atoms are different, it's still polar. Okay? As long as one of these criteria is met, it's going to be a polar molecule. Anyone have any questions on polar molecules? Yeah.
Wait, so SO3 is still pure?
SO3 is pure because there's no dots on the central atom.
But the bottom...
And they're all oxygen. So I know there's a double bond there, but it doesn't matter. That's not part of the criteria. Exactly. Because of resonance. Resonance means this double bond can go everywhere, and it's really not there. It's everywhere. But we just put it there because it has resonance. Okay? Now, we've managed to do all of these. And SO4, what about SO4? SO4, would you say SO4 is polar or pure? Does it have any dots on the central atom? No, so pure. And they're all the same, right? Pure. So SO4 is pure. All right, so we managed to do everything except for this first one, right? We managed to say whether it's polar or pure for everything except for this one. And why, again, can't we do this? Yeah, there's no central atom. So how do we tell if it's a polar or pure if there is no central atom?